If the Illuminati beat Thanos, and if the Scarlet Witch pretty easily destroyed the Illuminati, does that mean that the Scarlet Witch is stronger than Thanos? In today's video, I have questions. I've cataloged all the questions that came up on my rewatch of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I'll ask you those questions, and you can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Welcome to the Story Geeks. I'm Sherer, co-writer of Death of a Bounty Hunter and Time Slingers, and as a storyteller, I'm always interested in the questions prompted by stories. Let's see what questions come up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I've got three layers of questions here. Core questions that talk about our shared human experience and what we're going to take from this story. Then I have some more specific questions about the elements of the story, some of which may have specific answers that you may actually know. So leave those in the comments down below too. And finally, preference questions. Did you like what you saw on the screen? Let's dig into all of these questions. It should go without saying, this video has plenty of spoilers, so don't watch until you've actually seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Let's start out with the core questions. Questions about the shared human experience and the premise of this film and what this film is dealing with. One of the first questions that comes up is, would you kill one person, America Chavez in this case, in order to save trillions of people across the multiverse? And maybe if it's not trillions, it's at least dozens of other people that Wanda Maximoff is going to kill. Should Doctor Strange take America Chavez's powers in order to stop Wanda Maximoff? This mirrors challenging questions that the real world would have us ask ourselves. Maybe not in this big of consideration, but in smaller circumstances. Wanda Maximoff might destroy the lives of trillions of people, like I said, across the multiverse. Even America Chavez, at one point in the film, tells Doctor Strange that he should take her power to stop Wanda. So even she thinks maybe it's something that he should be doing. In real life, this is very similar to the decision to bomb Nagasaki and Hiroshima in World War II. It's killing some people in order to prevent greater suffering. So it's a question that real people have actually faced. And it's a horrifying question. If we scale this question down to something that we all face, it gets a little bit easier, but it's still tough. Do we do something negative in order to get a more positive result? If we look at these questions from the perspective of Wanda, we can see the film's premise from another perspective. Wanda says, if there's a universe where you could be happy, wouldn't you want to go there? Notice how Wanda's question focuses on what Wanda wants. It's a selfish question. She even justifies her thinking by telling Doctor Strange, you break the rules and become a hero, I break them and become the enemy. That hardly seems fair. She's willing to do anything to the people who get in her way, including murdering the Illuminati. But a villain always words the questions in a way that makes sense to them and showcases them possibly not as a villain at all. The question for Doctor Strange isn't selfish, but it's a character question. What would you do? What would you be willing to do in order to save other people? You can make an argument that if Doctor Strange killed America Chavez early in the film, Wanda would not have been able to kill so many people, including the Illuminati. But of course, if Doctor Strange does that, it means his own decision-making isn't very heroic. So that's all questions about the core of the film. What do you think? Who's right? Should we have any sympathy on Wanda, or is what she's doing completely horrific? You let me know in the comments down below. Let's talk about questions that deal with specific elements of the story. There's a lot going on in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. What all is this story asking us to believe or engage in order for it to be told? The first question I have on here is, why does the Book of Vishanti exist? Who wrote it and why did they write it? And if the Book of Vishanti is a book of pure good, why is it unreachable? It feels like you'd want to reach it. Why would you make it unreachable? Also, what is the Darkhold and how exactly does it work? Who wrote it and why does it corrupt those who end up using it? And how much has it corrupted Wanda throughout the course of this film and even a little bit prior to? Now, how do you view Doctor Strange's character development? At the beginning of the film, it seems like Doctor Strange has been regretting his earlier choices, most notably not being around to be with Christine. He's been depressed about being blipped and missing out on what his life could have been. He has a little bit of FOMO. And when we see or hear about alternate universe versions of Doctor Strange, they usually want to be in control. There's a sense that they're still driven by ego, kind of how they were driven in the original Doctor Strange film. He was driven largely by a sense of ego, wanting to be the best possible doctor in the world. But at the end of the film, Doctor Strange doesn't have to be the one to save the day. He just helps America Chavez save the day. It's not about him. Does that character development work for you? For me, that character arc is a little bit confusing, and I didn't find it all that compelling. It seemed like the two Stranges that we meet are not necessarily on the same page, and it's not a huge arc. But let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. What did you think of Wanda Maximoff's character arc? At the beginning of the film, Wanda is scheming to kidnap America Chavez in order to take her power so she can travel to another universe to be with her boys. Throughout the film, she grows stronger and more aggressive. She frequently justifies her behavior, at one point saying, "I'm not a monster, Steven. I'm a mother." As if that means she's allowed to do whatever she wants. She even tempts Doctor Strange at one point, saying, "If you give me what I want, I'll place you in a world where you can be with Christine." At the end of the film, she sees herself and her behavior through the eyes of her boys and finally sees what she has become, a villain who's willing to ruin the lives of others to get what she wants. That, to me, was a far more compelling character arc than Doctor Strange's character arc. It actually kind of worked for me, so I liked that about the movie. And I asked this earlier, but I have to ask it again. Do you have any sympathy for Wanda? If so, why? Now, what did you think of America Chavez's character development? At the beginning of this film, America is scared and running for her life. At the end of the film, she uses her power to take Wanda to visit her boys in another universe. My only issue with this arc is that I'm not sure there's much of an arc at all. She goes from basically not being able to use her power very well to using it really well in a matter of seconds. All it takes is Doctor Strange telling her to be more confident in herself. I think it would have worked better if we had a scene where Professor X maybe helped her understand her power better and understand how to use it. This is what Professor X was super good at in the X-Men universe, helping mutant kids figure out how to utilize their powers. Now, why doesn't America Chavez appear in any other universes? Why is there only one version of America Chavez? Also, how come every universe has a copy of the Darkhold and a copy of the Book of Vishanti? Why do those exist in every single universe? What do you think about the concept of dreamwalking, where you could inhabit or possess the body of another you in a different universe? Should we have seen more of the Illuminati and seen maybe more of their backstory? Or should we see them in another film or another TV show of some kind? What are demons in the context of the MCU? What lore do you think guides the concept of a demon in the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Where did the stone carving of the Scarlet Witch come from at Wundagore? Who did that? The appearance of Professor X in Universe 838 means that the X-Men must also exist in Universe 838. We even hear the X-Men theme played when Professor X is introduced. Do you think we'll ever see more of the X-Men? Will they appear in 838? Will we see more of 838? Or will we go to a different universe and they'll appear in our current universe? And where will the MCU go with the X-Men in the long run? Also, in how many universes was Thanos successful? Is he, currently chilling on a farm somewhere with half the population of the universe gone? It seems like that could be most universes. The question I asked at the very beginning of this video, if the Illuminati can beat Thanos, even when he has the Infinity Gauntlet, although that wasn't really clear, does that mean that Wanda with the Darkhold is stronger than Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet? Or do you think Thanos maybe never got the Infinity Gauntlet and the Illuminati were able to defeat him in some other way? Let me know in the comments down below, because that's a really big question. Did you think that Psycho Strange, the Doctor Strange who used the Darkhold, do you think that's the same Doctor Strange as the one in Marvel's What If? Or is that a different Doctor Strange? How did Wanda destroy the Darkhold in every universe? Do you think she actually did that? Or do you think there's still a Darkhold somewhere else? And will we see it again in future MCU stories? Those are a lot of the questions about the storytelling elements. But now I'm curious as to your preferences. Did you like it? Or did you not like it? Let's talk about that. Do you prefer the battle between the octopus-like character in the beginning of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Or did you prefer the battle between the Suicide Squad and the giant starfish in the Suicide Squad? For me, I'm going to go ahead and pick the battle between the Suicide Squad and the giant starfish, which I thought was more interesting and more compelling. What was your favorite scene in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Mine, by far, was the scene where they traveled through all the universes. I thought that was awesome, and I think they should have done another one where they traveled through a bunch of universes again. What did you think of the Doctor Strange fight with the Psycho Doctor Strange, where they used all the musical notes to attack one another? I think that could have been done really well, but I didn't really like the execution of that fight here. It didn't really work for me. What did you think of the ending? Do you think that Wanda would stop after seeing herself through the eyes of her boys? For me, that worked really well. I actually really liked that portion of the ending. I think Wanda is the best thing about this film, and I think that that character journey worked. I do wish that that particular scene would have been drawn out a little more. I think it would have been a little bit more powerful, and the sudden change in her is maybe a little bit too much. I would have liked to see a little bit more there. And finally, overall, what did you think of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Leave me your thoughts below. If you need a summer audiobook or novel to listen to or read, I'd love for you to pick up a copy of Death of a Bounty Hunter. If you're a fan of steampunk fantasy western mashups, we call them weird westerns, then pick up a copy of our full cast audiobook, Death of a Bounty Hunter. It's about a desperate sheriff who will do anything to save his daughter and a bounty hunter who realizes he can no longer run from the truth. It's sort of like Red Dead Redemption meets Raiders of the Lost Ark, but with some badass female characters thrown in for good measure. A link to deathofabountyhunter.com will be in the description. Please support the show by picking up a copy. I will see you on the next video.